Welcome to the Intentional Awakening podcast with your hosts, Kathy Brewer and Terry Huberman.
Well, hello there, and welcome to the Intentional Awakening podcast. I'm Terry Huberman.
And I'm your co-host, Kathy Groover. And we'll start this episode the way we do every episode, with an angel card. This is a lovely one of my favorites. Gratitude.
Aww.
To be thankful widens the expression of your heart and increases your ability to nourish the good in and around you.
I love it. I love it.
Also love it. Have we done an episode on gratitude?
I don't know. We could always do another one.
We should add it to our list, but that's not what we're talking about today.
No.
Today, we're going to talk about something similar to an episode that we talked about in the past, but it kind of goes, it's one of those like hand-in-hand sort of mingling things, which is soul contracts.
Soul contracts. Yes. So I'm going to give the arhatic, because what I practice and study is arhatic yoga. So I'll give that angle of how that kind of works. So the soul is made up of three facets: love, which is for emotions; light, which is for intelligence; and power, which is about movements and control of the body. So those would be the three vehicles that the human would be helping evolve the soul, right? So the soul, when it takes on a human body, it's going to work on an aspect of itself. Usually one lifetime, it'll work on one aspect. So maybe it'll have a very emotional life, right? So if that's what, and again, this is the Arhatic Yoga perspective. So let's say a soul is like, okay, in this particular lifetime, I want to work on my willpower. Okay. Now, the willpower would be more of a physical lifetime because you would be using the human body to sort of have some sort of like more of a control factor of what happens in physical reality.
Mm-hmm.
Because emotions and intelligence are more non-physical. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So if the soul is like, okay, this is what I want to work on in this lifetime, it's going to choose people and circumstances to fulfill that aspect of what it wants to learn.
Yes.
And it's in that, I call it in the meantime, in between time of human lives, let's say, where it takes on a human where the soul takes on a human to live out that contract. So there's different types of contracts that a soul can have.
Yep.
So it goes, okay, well, in this lifetime, I'm going to have more of a physical lifetime. That could be money issues. It could be health issues, right? Maybe it's an issue of I really want to be a mom, but you don't get pregnant in the lifetime, right? So anything that has to do with the physical material world, for example.
Cool.
So from that aspect, in the meantime, in between time, is when the soul starts setting all of that up with the other souls of people. Right? Okay, in this lifetime, when we come back together, whenever that is, and that's the other thing, is like we have no idea when this could happen. I mean, it could be hundreds of years from now, because we think of time as linear, but it's not linear, right? So the soul sets everything up in advance.
Yes. I love working with you because like I think and feel exactly the same thing you do, but you explain it in such a more like, and I'm a science nerd, but you like explain things in such a precise way. Whereas my explanation of it, which is exactly the same thing, which is, we meet in between lifetimes. And there's a technique in past life regression called life between lives. And you review your life and you're like, you kind of score yourself. What did I do good? What did I do bad? It's like a 360 review, right? How did I do? Everybody in charge goes, here's how you did. And you're like, hey, next time I would love to work on compassion. Great. Well, why don't you be a paraplegic who's homeless and you get to work on compassion because you were kind of a jerk in that last lifetime, and then we meet with our summer stock people and we share those contracts. but it's so fascinating. And this is where the paradox comes, right?
Yeah.
So I was with my ex for 20 years. I believe we had a contract to work out our stuff together. I kept trying to work out stuff. He did not want to work on stuff. So I don't know if our contract was for me to leave, like to be together a certain amount of time and then leave, or if our contract was to stay together and keep doing the work, but he broke the contract.
Well, I don't necessarily see. So this is where it gets so weird because I don't know that contracts actually get broken.
Oh,
That could have been the freaking contract.
well, that's what I'm saying. I don't know.
Right.
Contracts can't get broken. No, I'm going to say you can break your contract. I'm saying that you can get to a lifetime and be like, you know what? This is too hard. I can't do it. I don't want to do it. And I think this is a lot of people who take their own lives, maybe, or who get into a relationship that is forcing them to do the work. And then they're like, I don't want to do this. I would rather sit on my phone and play video games. I feel like there's something deep in me that's saying, yes, you can break a contract. But I hear what you're saying that maybe that's not a thing.
I don't, I think it's more perspective, right?
Mm,
Which opens up the gamut to levels of truth because there are so many different levels of truth but each level is true, right? So oftentimes, for example, with me in relationships with men, it has typically been because I have tendencies of people pleasing.
mm,
So that's one of my survival coping mechanisms, right? So if I'm in a relationship where I'm the one doing the work and they're not doing the work, which has typically been the pattern that I have chosen in the past,
yep.
um, it could be that even though we have that soul contract, they're my lessons to learn. First of all, not that may not be their level of lessons that they need to learn. They might
I see.
have had different lessons, but I contributed to them in some way, but it just may not equal to what my lessons were. And so that's why I think it's hard to say that
Mm,
we don't necessarily break contracts because I think just based on what resonates with me and what feels right, and then just my personal experiences, I don't think these men got anything. But the
mm,
contract was you guys are going to be in this relationship for this amount of time,
right.
right?
Interesting. Yeah. Well, and also we never know if we're in it for them or they're in it for us or we're in it
Correct.
together, right?
Right.
My mom died when I was 18.
Hmm.
She died at 45 of horribly painful cancer, 40
Hmm.
years, went through an addiction to morphine, went
Hmm.
through inability to eat. I mean, it was a horrible
Hmm.
10 years for her.
Hmm.
I so fully believe that she went through that for me
Hmm.
because it was my lesson. Now, I'm sure she had some sort of contract for that pain that she had to go through for her own
For
evolution
her
in a way.
own, right.
But I also fully know that that was a sacrifice on her part for me because I needed to live through that to become who I am.
Right. So I would say this is an and situation,
Hmm.
not an or situation. And so
Yep.
that's why it's hard for me to say, well, contracts are broken. Now there
Mm.
can be fulfilled contracts, which might be, okay, we fulfilled whatever we were supposed to fulfill in this
Mm.
lifetime. I don't have to hang out with you anymore in the next lifetime.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And so that's where it could maybe possibly also be defined as, well, we broke the contract. It was just fulfilled in this
Mm.
lifetime because my grandmother, I know I had a past life with her
Hmm.
and it was like a hot mess. And my grandmother in this lifetime, my paternal grandmother was just a horrible person. I mean,
Mm.
I hate saying that, but it's true. She was a Holocaust survivor, and I think that's why.
Wow.
There was so much of that. But I remember when she passed and we buried her, at the funeral, I said, that is it, we're done. All
Mm.
contracts fulfilled. Like I learned a lot from her.
Hmm.
Hopefully she learned something from me too, but I was like, I don't have to share any more lifetimes with you. I really don't have to. So you should have peace and be on your way, but we don't have to meet anymore in the future. So
Wow.
you could kind of say that that's a broken contract, but I feel like it's more of a fulfilled contract. It's so hard,
Yeah.
but see, that's the thing is it's hard because it's perception based and and again, this is not something we can prove with
Right.
science. So it
Yeah.
is, that's why this is a high woo meter
Right.
episode.
Right. I just have to, because occasionally I do like to get another perspective on this, right? So
Yeah.
I threw soul contract into Google.
Oh, great. Great.
And it says a spiritual agreement made before birth with other souls to fulfill a specific role in your life, such as family, friends, or even adversaries. These
Mm-hmm.
agreements are made for the purpose of mutual growth, learning, and healing, and they often involve past life connections.
Yeah.
What a soul contract entails, ooh, they like
Mm.
spell it out for you, like this is this is a proven thing. A pre-birth agreement
Uh-huh.
where before incarnating they agree to play specific roles.
Right.
Purpose of mutual growth.
Uh-huh.
The intention is for each soul to learn and grow. Even difficult relationships are seen as fulfilling a contract. Challenging relationships helping you find your voice, or a supportive one reinforcing your worthiness. Beyond physical life, the concept often extends to include other life paths and reincarnation. Connections to synchronicities. Recognizing a soul contract can feel like an intense pull or feeling of deja vu.
Yes. Yes.
Recognizing it, you have a feeling of intensity, unfinished business, a sense of
Mm-hmm.
purpose, or it says it is not destiny. While contracts outline potential experiences, they are not considered rigid destiny. Individuals have free will and can make new choices to shift their path, and a contract may dissolve once its lessons are learned, which is exactly what
Mm-hmm.
you just said.
Well, I mean, it is pretty fascinating and it does sort of overlap with the past lives
Sure. Well, we can't
episode
help.
that
Yep.
that we just did. You know, it is fascinating because that's where soul families also have soul contracts,
Yep.
right? So and they travel together. So
Yep.
it is really fascinating. Just all this stuff is really neat.
Well, and there's a last section that I want
Ooh.
to read because I have a comment for this one. Releasing a soul contract.
Mm,
So it says, embrace the lessons. The key is not to resist the contract, but to awaken within it and learn from the experience. The
hmm.
second one is cultivate compassion. Release anger or resentment and understand that everyone involved was playing a role for mutual growth. Oh my God. It goes
Yeah.
back to forgiveness.
Yes, it goes back to forgiveness.
And when I moved up to Santa Barbara to take a job that the guy hired me the second he met me, he offered me more money than I asked for. It was a dream job. And after about 6 weeks, I realized he was a crazy person
Yikes.
and was abusive and
Yeah.
psychologically unsafe and probably would have gotten to sexual abuse had I stayed. I ended up in therapy from this guy, and I was pissed for the longest time. Why
Sure.
in the world did I leave my life in LA to come to Santa Barbara to do this job? Well, I can tell you, I was supposed to be in Santa Barbara. I never would have come here without a job. If this job was as perfect as he said it was, I never would have left. And that's not what I'm meant to be doing in Santa Barbara. I'm meant to be
Mhm.
doing what I'm doing in Santa
Yes.
Barbara. And he
Yes.
was the vehicle that got me here.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I have found such great compassion and gratitude for him for opening the door to a life change. I could still be
Hmm.
pissed at the guy. And
Sure.
the next one is practice letting go and express gratitude. Oh my God, if we look at every asshole in our lives
Hmm.
as someone who is moving us forward, that we had a contract to do this with,
Hmm.
how much better is our life going to be when we're not holding on to all this crud, right?
And it all comes down to energy because if
Mm.
you're holding on to something, you're giving it your life force, so it can't dissipate or it can't disappear.
Yep.
Because wherever we place our attention and our awareness, that's where our energy is going. So if you're
Yep.
still angry at somebody, even if they're dead, even if they have moved on, that is still viable because
Yep.
you're sending your life force to that thought, that person, whatever.
Yep. Well, and also, why are you letting that person live rent free in your brain?
Well, some people need to go, but see that's their lesson and that's
I
their
know.
evolution,
Yep.
So it's fascinating.
But yeah, I'm glad I looked at that. I love the way they broke that
Yeah,
down. And
that's
I didn't even think about that. I've got a very old friend. I haven't seen this woman in forever, but her dad left her mom for one of her college friends.
Oh, that's a gut punch. Oh.
And it's been decades. I mean, this woman's now, I think, in her 50s, right? She
Oof.
will not forgive her dad, even
Oof.
though they ended up getting married. They were madly in love. It was clearly what was supposed to happen. And I said, but if you recognize that maybe that was their path and that your mom got out of it what she needed and your dad is now in this other, can you see that maybe that was the universal truth? And she goes, nope, I hate him. And I was like, wow.
But that comes down to mindset, right? Are you in a growth mindset or a rigid mindset?
Yep. Now, this is, again, I haven't talked to this woman in decades, so maybe she has at this point forgiven him.
Sure.
But even under the guise so many years ago of, but dude, maybe this is what was supposed to be. You were supposed to be born of these two parents. Yeah. He was supposed to be with this other woman. She couldn't grok it. And I was like, well, it was almost kind of sad.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, all right, well, we just hit our time. Nice. I love this one. This was one of my favorites. The woo meter is ticking to the very end. Woo! Hi, woo meter. Anyway, but I encourage everyone to sort of sit with this. Mm-hmm. And the next time you have, I don't want to say a negative experience because it's just an experience and our brains put a thing on it. The next time you have an experience that didn't completely please you, think about what the lesson was in that. And can you have compassion and forgiveness, knowing that maybe you were just playing out a soul contract?
Sure.
It's something to ponder. It can make life a little easier, I think.
Yeah, I think it can bring some relief to the emotional muck that you're in.
Yeah. Oh, the muck. Yeah.
The muck.
Anyway, if you want to explore your muck, I'm Kathy Gruber. I can be reached at kathygruber.coach.
And I'm Terry Huberman. You can check me out at terryhuberman.com. Thank you so much for joining us in this episode of the Intentional Awakening podcast. We'll see you in the next one.
See you next time.